The Chicago Bulls, a team that everybody knows is broken, a team that everybody knows needed changes, maybe needed to sell at the deadline, made zero trades at that trade deadline, citing that they wanted to go for it. Since that trade deadline, they have lost 3 straight games, including yesterday to the Orlando Magic and Thursday against a Brooklyn Nets team fresh off of trading both superstars. A very depleted Brooklyn Nets team rolled in and took over that Chicago Bulls game, and we want to discuss what the future holds for this team. So we'll bring it over to Pips. You've obviously watched the Bulls a bit more than I have this season. Can you speak to where things have gone the most wrong for this team? If you can maybe find just one, or feel free to elaborate on a few that you don't like about this team.
So the first one, I'll say, yesterday I was trying to decide between Vucevic. So my initial bet was Wendell Carter Jr. over 11.5 points. So I was trying to decide between Vucevic or going with alternative spread on the Orlando Magic, because Bulls were 5 points favorite, and I was like, wow. And then I saw that they played 2 weeks ago and Bulls blow them out by 20 points, and that's why I decided to go with Vucevic. But it didn't make any sense at all, that line, considering everything that's going on. So that there is that. And the question you said, you can't win in today's NBA without shooting threes.
Easy.
They are dead last in the 3 points attempts in the league, and that's crazy considering they have Vucevic, they have Kobe White, they have Patrick Williams, they have Zach LaVine. So it's not like they don't have any guys that can shoot. I think it's completely on the coach. I'm not a huge fan of him. I could talk about it quite some time. Also, LaVine, DeMar, and Vucevic defense. So you have 3 poor defensive players. That's never gonna work. So you have 3 poor defensive players that end up team shooting the least 3. So that's two huge problems. So if you combine these 2 problems, how can you win the games? Also, they don't have that much rim pressure. Vucevic ain't a lob threat. DeMar DeRozan is settling for mid-range shot. Caruso and the Sun are running around. Patrick Williams is not doing anything. So you don't have rim pressure, you don't have 3-point shooting, and you don't have defense. 3 main things in today's NBA. They are playing, I don't know, what's 2005 basketball, and they will suck in that era too. So pointless. Also interesting data. Since Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, and LaVine started playing together, over all the minutes they have together, they are 0 on the net rating. 0 net rating. Not a bit positive. 0 net rating for 3 star players together on the floor. I don't think you can look up any data in the entire league. 3 guys that are all stars together that don't have positive net rating together is I don't think that exists close to it.
So obviously Lonzo Ball changes a lot. He adds in point of attack, defense, he adds in playmaking, he adds in shooting, which is definitely a problem. But just how much do you think Lonzo Ball, his injury, has affected this team? And do you think there's any significant differences to their record with him being involved?
They will be a bit better with him. I don't think Lonzo Ball is the guy that will change a lot. You have point of attack defense, Caruso, one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
So that, but he's better than Lonzo. I'll say that. So that problem is not there, and shooting, of course, but Lonzo is not a great 3-point shooter. He had good season, but his shooting gravity is still non-existent. So there is that. Sometimes shooting gravity is even more important than actual shooting. Okay, this team needs actual shooting, but Lonzo Ball doesn't offer any shooting gravity at
You know,
all.
I
And
I like that point where gravity sometimes means more than actual shooting. The first player I think of when you say that is Jay Crowder, because he's a very streaky shooter,
yeah,
but he's respected enough that you can't just leave him alone in the corner. So I think that's an interesting point as far as Lonzo Ball goes. You talked about Billy Donovan. I used to be quite high on Billy Donovan. I'm now very, very low on Billy Donovan. And maybe obviously he's been an issue. The Bulls have had so many games where they're up double digits, they're comfortable, and they still end up losing the game. I remember one to the LA Clippers from a couple of weeks ago now where they were up by like 15 points, and 5 minutes later, the Clippers had it tied in the second quarter, and they end up losing that game. And then the last few plays of the game, the Bulls had chances to tie, chances to win, and just complete lack of organization overall. I put a lot of that on Billy Donovan. How much do you think of it is on the players as well? Like not playing a team game, maybe a little bit of selfishness. How much do you think is on that?
I think it's more on the coach.
More on
Like
the coach?
if your players look every night disinterested in playing the game while being paid 40 millions and actually has history of being like good productive players, I think it's on the coach. Like
I agree.
it,
I think they should.
first meltdowns are usually on the coach.
Yes.
Like when you win like by 15, 20 and then you lose, like it's on the coach like 9 out of 10 times. And yeah, they just don't look like so like they're like just like the theory of playing, like the tactical part where you just like setting up like actions and deciding how many threes you shoot, how the way you are going to defend. That's just not this era of basketball. At least not the winning part of this basketball era.
Understood. And I want to remind you guys that this is a team that made 0 trades at the trade deadline. They brought in no players. They didn't make any changes. They saw this as something that was fine. According to reports, they saw Kevin Durant got traded away from the Brooklyn Nets and all of a sudden thought the East was a little bit more open. I personally don't know what they were seeing, but it is a perilous situation here. It differs to a team we've spoken about in the Raptors who only traded for Jakob Poeltl rather than selling. The Raptors still have a lot of assets and a lot of patience they can have with their team, whereas the Bulls have lost a lot of those assets, putting the team together that I would say evidently does not work here. But they are putting themselves in a little bit of a hole, I think. I kind of feel for Chicago Bulls fans. There was definitely some promise and opportunity with this current team, but it really has not come to fruition. And I feel like everybody knows it's time for them to sell on this, but they continue to try and strive to push onwards. We'll see how that plays out for them for the rest of the season. This was a clip taken from our Pick and Roll live show, which you can catch right here on the Board YouTube channel, the NBA content division of the Hammer Betting Network, every weekday around 11:20 a.m. Eastern Time. Subscribe to the channel and drop a like to catch all the live shows or for more clips just like this.